Delight and happiness. It was mentioned above that happiness is the fulfillment of needs, the satisfaction of desires. Another way of describing this fulfillment and satisfaction is to say that desires have been stilled, similar to slaking thirst or alleviating hunger. When thirst or hunger is allayed, one experiences happiness. According to this definition, happiness is the abating of desire. Happiness is peace. In this process, before the mind reaches that peace which constitutes happiness, one may experience various forms of delight and pleasure. In particular, one may experience piti, delight, rapture, bliss, which in Pali is often paired with happiness as piti sukha. Discerning these various stages of delight and fulfillment provides a clearer understanding of how happiness is equal to peace. Moreover, one realizes the nature and value of such peace. In regard to these two aforementioned terms, the pleasure derived from obtaining a desired object is considered to be piti, while the actual enjoyment of experiencing that object is sukha. For example, a person who is traveling through a desert, who is parched and exhausted, will experience rapture when he sees water or hears from another that water is nearby. When he reaches the shade of the oasis and drinks from and bathes in the pool, he experiences happiness. The commentaries provide an example for clarification. A man has travelled a long distance through a barren wilderness. He is soaked in sweat, famished and thirsty. At one point he meets someone travelling the other way and asks whether there is any drinking water ahead. He is told that not far ahead is a large pond with a wooded grove. When he hears this news, he is exceedingly glad and elated. When he walks further and sees the lotus petals, leaves, and stalks scattered on the path, he is even more delighted. He walks on and sees people with wet clothes and wet hair, and sees the cry of forest chickens and peacocks. And as he approaches the pond and sees the lush woodland grove and the lotuses growing in the clear, clean water, he grows increasingly exultant. Finally, he steps into the water, providing a great sense of refreshment. The exhilaration he felt earlier is replaced by calm. He bathes and drinks to his heart's content, dispelling all anxiety, and he eats the roots and young leaves of the lotuses until he is full. He then climbs onto the bank and lies down in the cool shade of the trees, caressed by a gentle breeze, and says to himself, "Ah, such happiness." According to this example, one can see that the delight and elation the man experiences from the moment he hears about the pond and wooded grove until he sees them with his own eyes constitutes piti, which is a preliminary joy and pleasure in the object about to be experienced. His bathing in the water, slaking his thirst, satisfying his hunger, and resting in the shade of the trees constitute sukha, actually experiencing the desired object. Piti has the characteristic of elation, euphoria, exuberance, exaltation, radiance, and suffusion, which are all extremely positive qualities. Yet, however positive this delight and rapture may be, it is not yet complete. It has not yet reached its goal. In the end, it must conclude and culminate in happiness, which is precisely inner peace. If this delight is not yet peaceful, it is not yet complete. It reaches completion and perfection at peace, which is referred to as happiness, sukha. In fact, a detailed and thorough analysis reveals that there is another important state of mind existing between piti and sukha. Above we looked only at the gratification of desire, which is an aspect of acquisition. But a closer analysis also requires a look at the actual nature of desire. Desire possesses the attributes of compulsion and disturbance. If it becomes intense, it manifests as anxiety, stress, restlessness, and even turmoil. Despite the heightening of delight, piti, as one reaches the stage of fulfillment of desire, the anxiety, stress, and restlessness, which are attributes of desire and have an impact on the body and mind, ease and subside. Agitation is reduced, one becomes even and calm. This state is referred to as tranquility, passaddhi. Tranquility, passaddhi, is the direct antecedent to happiness, sukha. Therefore, when making a more detailed distinction, the scriptures describe the ordered progression as piti to passaddhi to sukha. Desire based on craving is full of agitation, anxiety, and stress, because it rests on a foundation of delusion and is fed by the attachment to a sense of desire. Desire based on wholesome enthusiasm, however, is naturally accompanied by wisdom, which prevents or corrects these mental afflictions. Note that besides a stilling of desire by way of gratification, there is also a stilling of desire by way of non-gratification, which is an opposite form of intentional action. One must be careful though. If one tries to still desire by obstructing, resisting, suppressing, or controlling it, the repercussions are even more serious than when seeking gratification. The agitation and turmoil increases, and one may vent one's frustration or explode, causing extra suffering to oneself and endangering others. This then leads to retaliation and reprisals. This inner suppression is merely a form of coercion. It is not true peace. At the beginning of spiritual practice, the very awareness of training helps in part to deal with desire. Although to some degree one may be acting against one's will and choosing a path of non-gratification, the benefits of training include a feeling of self-development and a joy in having tested one's strength and resolve. There are additional tools for working with desire. First, to empower wholesome mental qualities, one ensures that wholesome desire, chanda, which longs for knowledge, is stronger than craving, tanha, which longs for indulgence. Such wholesome desire, for instance, prevents one from skipping work in order to go off drinking with one's friends. Second, negative qualities are replaced by positive qualities. For example, Paul covets John's money and wants to steal it, but he considers how difficult it was for John to acquire this money. John has enough problems, why create more for him? This thought gives rise to compassion, and the craving dries up and is stilled. In respect to wisdom, take for example a person who sees gold for sale at an extremely cheap price. His eyes widen and he desires this gold, but once he discovers that the gold is fake, his desire vanishes instantly. This recognition, however, is only a basic or counterfeit form of wisdom. It deals only with immediate problems. Disciples endowed with genuine wisdom discern that gold, silver, jewels, indeed all material wealth, does not make up the true purpose of life. Material wealth does not truly belong to anyone. It is unable to provide true happiness or distinction to one's life. Both the wealth itself and all living beings are subject to the laws of nature, of impermanence, dukkha, and non-self. To benefit from material things, one must gain insight into their true nature, so that they do not create harm. When one has opened oneself up to true freedom and happiness, these things can be renounced without hesitation. Such wisdom prevents craving from gaining any footing and leads to true peace. Regardless of whether one stills desires by way of gratification or one abstains from gratifying unhealthy desires, by empowering wholesome qualities and applying wisdom, the resulting stillness and peace, santi, itself constitutes happiness. Happiness is peace.